Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm Ryan, an American, more importantly, than my stupid name. And today I'm going to learn about soccer in Europe. It's a craze, it's taken over the continent. Everybody loves soccer. They call it football, which makes sense. You use your foot, unlike football in America, where you don't use your foot very much. Regardless, I played soccer as a wee lad, and so I know the rules. I'm trying to think of what offsides. You're not allowed to, as an offender, you're not allowed to go behind the defenders unless the ball is behind them. I don't know. All right, let's watch this guide.
Welcome to Understanding Soccer in Europe in 4 Simple Steps, a guide for Americans. Although from the outside it may seem complex and confusing, to understand
What is that?
how soccer works in Europe, you really only need to know 4 things.
Okay.
Number 1, each country has its own soccer league. Seasons run from August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided
It's a lot of games.
into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points, the loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point. After each team has
Okay.
played all the other teams twice, the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league. They get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over.
Hold up. Because that makes me think, does that mean you could know who won the league long before their last game? Like if they're way more than 3 points ahead of second place?
Each team gets 1 point. After each team has played all the other teams twice, the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league. They get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over.
Interesting. So I assume that does mean that you could know long in advance. Or is it always a tight race? What if the last 2 teams playing each other, like the other team barely has any points compared to the first place team? Because here in America with football, it's like the 2 teams work it on different sides of the bracket all the way, and then they face off in the Super Bowl.
There are no playoffs. Sort of. But more on that in a minute.
That would be a playoff. Okay.
Before the books are closed on the season, there is still one small bit of housekeeping to be done. Number 2, relegation. We'll use the German League as an example. Every year, when the German League has concluded and the champion has been crowned, the 3 teams with the least amount of points are kicked out of the league. This process is known as relegation. The 3 vacant spots
Damn.
are subsequently filled by the top 3 teams from Germany's second division. And unlike, say, baseball in the US, teams in the second and subsequent divisions are not owned by teams in the top division. Imagine if the Pittsburgh Pirates or Oakland Raiders had to fight at the end of each season just to stay in the league. What if instead of coasting to the bottom for better draft picks, they were fighting to the bitter end to avoid the $40 million revenue loss that relegated teams suffer in the first year alone? Not to mention the fact that in England, 9 different teams have gone financially insolvent within 5 years of relegation. Okay, interesting enough, you're thinking.
That is savage. Wow. I like that. That's a lot more to lose.
What about that whole lack of playoffs part? Number 3, each country
And it brings new teams in, every season. I like that.
also holds an elimination-style tournament, referred to as a cup. But instead of being held after the 9-month league is over, cup games are scheduled in between league games, normally in the middle of the week. One additional perk about the cup system is that teams from all levels, down to semi-professional and even some amateur teams, are invited to play, and if they do well, can progress, and occasionally even knock off a top team. So every year, these midweek elimination games continue until there are only 2 teams left
This sounds even more exciting.
who play each other in the cup final. After 90 minutes, a cup champion is crowned, they get a trophy, and a parade.
I like that. So you've got 2 simultaneous different formats going on throughout the year, throughout the season. That's pretty fun. Wow, there's a lot to pay attention to, huh?
So, between the league and cup games, we get a great picture of who the best and worst teams in each country are. But wait a second, you ask. What would happen if the best teams from each country in Europe all got together and played each other? Good idea. Number 4. The resultant competition is called the UEFA Champions League, and it is without a doubt the single greatest club competition of any sport anywhere in the world, period. Think of the NCAA tournament, but with better quality of play, more than double the fan base, and quadruple the enthusiasm. And yes, Europe
I can only imagine.
even has their own
Holy.
version.
So this is probably the games where you see like the insane crowds going crazy, toppling things over, lighting stuff on fire in their path after they win. Those are probably these
the
games.
NIT as well. So, through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of 4. Each team plays the other members of its group 2 times, once at home and once on the road. Come December, the winner and runner-up from each group move on to the knockout round. And this is where club soccer is at its finest. Teams are paired up individually and again play 1 home and 1 away game, with the winner from each pair moving on to the next round until only 2 teams remain. The Champions League final is then held as a single game each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year. After 90 minutes, a champion is crowned, the trophy is awarded, parades commence, and all clubs go on break until the madness fires back up again in August.
Nice, healthy break.
So, to review,
I'm sure they're training.
number 1, each country has its own league. Number 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league and replaced by the best teams from the next division down. Number 3, throughout the year, each country also holds a playoff-type tournament called a cup. And number 4, the UEFA Champions League is a tournament involving all of Europe and is the most important competition in all of club soccer.
It sounded like this was an American narrating this, so good for him.
And is the most important competition in all of club soccer.
Wow. Okay. That was really cool. Yeah, I had no idea about the different formats for the leagues and different the championship at the end. That's pretty epic. I can see how people are very big fans of this sport, given that there's so much to pay attention to and so much to watch. And so many different exciting events. And so many teams. Holy crap. How do you pay attention to this many different teams? Anyway, well, that was fun. I hope you had fun. I did. I have more respect. I already respected soccer and football, but I have even more respect now. Wow. Have a fantastic day. I hope you're doing good. And I hope to see you here again tomorrow, because I'm going to be learning more about Europe, because that's what I do on this channel. Goodbye.